Savitribai Phule Pune University, Revised Course Structure of English, TYBA, Compulsory English, 1516. This is the text, Literary Pinnacle, an anthology of prose and poetry by Board of Editors. Term 1, Literature Components, Prose Section, Unit 1 to 4. Chapter 1, Uncle Podger Hangs a Picture by Jerome Jerome. This is the picture where Uncle Tom is trying to hang a picture. Let's have a quick summary of this chapter. It's a story about hanging a picture. Uncle Podger is overconfident and assumes himself to be the best person for the job. He gets his whole family engaged to help him. While hanging the picture, he drops it and the frame breaks away. He keeps his handkerchief in his pocket and makes whole family hunt for that. Then he loses the nail and blames Aunt Maria to be responsible for all that. In the end, he says that hanging picture is such a menial job for any man to perform. The story is an example of the underestimation which the women and other members of the family face. Second chapter, How Wealth Accumulates and Men Decay by G.B. Shaw. Moderation is best in all things. Too much wealth makes many lose their balance and they indulge in all kinds of vices and go all out to satisfy their carnal desires. If excess eating is accompanied by liquor and indiscriminate gratification of one's carnal desires, that is sure road to one's ruin. But generally too much of wealth makes one lose human qualities and that person behaves like a beast. Believing in the maxim that might or physical strength emanates from excess wealth is always right. As one tastes excess wealth, he does not hesitate to adopt any means to earn more of it. Third chapter, Retrieved Information, Jimmy Valentine by Saki. In the story, a retrieved information by O. Henry, Jimmy Valentine, a master safe cracker who has turned his life around, is said to marry Annabelle, a banker's daughter, who knows nothing about his former life. Jimmy, who has vowed to never crack another safe, is compelled to do just that in order to rescue Annabelle's niece from the bank safely. Chapter 4, How Much Land Does a Man Need? By Leo Tolstoy. The story is about a peasant named Pahom. Pahom states that if he had enough land, he wouldn't fear the devil. The devil overhears this and decides to test him. An opportunity for Pahom to acquire land arrives and he takes it. In his quest to attain more and more land, Pahom visits Buckshears, whose chief agrees to sell him as much land as he can walk around in one day. The caveat: he must return to the exact point he started, or the sale is off. Pahom dies in the attempt. Poetry section, Unit 9 to 12. First poem, All the World's Stage by William Shakespeare. This sonnet of Shakespeare is from his famous play As You Like It. This poem describes various stages of human life. Life has been compared to a play or drama played by every man and woman on the stage of the world. His 7 stages of life are the 7 acts of a play. This shows Shakespeare's deep knowledge and transience of human life. Second poem, La Belle Dame Sans Mercy by John Keats. La Belle Dame Sans Mercy is a ballad by John Keats, one of the most studied and highly regarded English romantic poets. In the poem, a medieval knight recounts a fanciful romp in the countryside with a fairy woman, La Belle Dame Sans Mercy, which means the beautiful lady without mercy. In French, that ends in cold horror. Related to this focus on death and horror, Keats wrote the poem months after his brother Tom died of tuberculosis. Third poem, The Charge of Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The Charge of Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson is in response to a battle during Crimean War 1853-1855. In this battle, a British cavalry unit, the Light Brigade, was commanded to charge against Russian artillery unit. The order was almost suicidal and the brigade was decimated in the charge. The charge of the Light Brigade celebrates the self-sacrifice and heroism of cavalrymen, suggesting that bravery consists of doing one's duty even when it leads to almost certain death. Next poem, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It's a sonnet by 19th century poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It's her most famous and best loved poem, having first appeared as Sonnet 43 in her collection Sonnets from Portuguese 1850, although the poem is traditionally interpreted as a love sonnet from Elizabeth Barrett Browning to her husband. The poet Robert Browning, the speaker and addressee are never identified by name. In this guide, we use female pronouns for the speaker and male pronouns for the beloved. But the poem itself does not specify these genders and is open to other interpretations. Language components. Transformations of sentences, declarative sentences, interrogative sentences, imperative sentences, exclamatory sentences. An introduction to communication skills, defining communication, process of communication, verbal and non-verbal communication, tips for effective communication. Thank you very much. Subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.